Just what we need right now. Baltimore's inspiration station. Praise 106.1. From the Big House Studio, Baltimore's #1 accident attorney. Welcome to the Spirit in Mind broadcast with your hosts, Bishop C. Guy Robinson and Dr. Jonathan Shepherd, where we explore faith and mental health perspectives on current affairs. Let's get into today's season, Spirit in Mind. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss current affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I'm Bishop Guy Robinson, and I am so excited about the time that we're going to share together today. Also grateful to have this time with my colleague and co-host, Dr. Jonathan Shepherd. Great day, Dr. Shepherd.
Hey, great day to you, Bishop. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, dealing with these transitions. We'll talk about that in a minute. How about you?
Absolutely. Yeah, transitions are real, and we are seeing them every day. All is well. It's been a wonderful week. Been a week of where we've experienced some extreme weather here in Maryland, and even last night for those who live in this area. There's power that's still out, even in my neighborhood right now, Bishop, because of the powerful storms and even due to the heat that occurred earlier this week. So we hopefully that all of you are going through this transitional period of seasons changing and that you're making it through. But all is well, sir.
Great Spirit of Mind family. We certainly want to invite you to be a part of our time of sharing today. Dr. Shepherd's going to give more detail, but you could call us live right here at Praise 106. That's right. You can let somebody know that we are live at Praise 106, and you can call in to us live at 443-380-2803. Again, that's 443-380-2803, because we want to hear about some of the transitions you're experiencing in life and how you're coping, how you're handling the transitions and vicissitudes of changes of life. And Dr. Shep is going to share some other ways that we can stay connected.
Absolutely. And so we want to make sure that you know how to reach out to us. So many of you all have reached out, had so many positive comments from last week, Bishop, as we return back to our season series of transitions. And so many of you all were thankful that we were back. And thank you for those nice words. And we appreciate you. Please reach out to us through our social media pages. You can look up Bishop C. Guy Robinson. He has some wonderful material that you can go and purchase. He is an author, critical collaborations, and working on other books and articles that you can read and use in your library resource. You can also find him as he is the pastor of the Tabernacle Church over there on 2100 West Baltimore Street in Baltimore City. And so you can go hear a wonderful service and sermon and be a part of them. And then you can follow me. You can follow me on my social media pages. You can look me up. Website is up, drjonathanshepherd.com. You can go to my Facebook, Instagram, or to my YouTube pages. If you're in need of direct care services, you can reach out to me for DC and or Maryland. Reach out to me. Let me know if you're in need of direct care services, and I'll do my best to link you up.
Absolutely, Spirit of Mind family. We thank you for checking in and for staying connected and for joining us again. You can call in at 443-380-2803. So we want to pick up right where into the subject we've been discussing about transitions, and said previously that the scriptures say that to everything there is a purpose, in the time and the season, to everything, every purpose under the heavens. And hymn writer said, time is filled with swift transition. The philosopher Heraclitus said, change is the only constant So we're always adjusting. And even now, we're in the season of transition. Seasons are changing. Storms are rising, even as different fronts are dealing with the changes of in the atmosphere and those kinds of things. And so life has its changes, and it takes us through those. Careers are changing
Mhm.
for some of us, and relationships are changing. But it's important that how we cope with these changes, how we handle them, how we deal with them, how we navigate through them. That's what we want to talk about. So, Dr. Shepard is going to open us up a little bit further into this discussion about dealing with the transitions we face in life.
Absolutely. So the transitions that all of us face, and we have to remember, we all face transitions. And if you're not going through a transition currently, get prepared, put your seatbelt on. You're going to be in one real soon. And just to recap, just some of the things that we discussed last week, and we'll take it further. We talked about how the transformation period, which is also transition, if you will allow me today to use those words interchangeably, I know they're not the same, but many times when you're going through a transition, you're going through a transformation. And as you go through that transformation or transitional period, you're leaving one state to move to another. You're leaving one state behind to enter into another state. And that's why it feels like so many of us are coming to an end, because you literally are. Something is coming to an end. It's a restructuring or reconstruction or remodeling of your inner world. You're shedding some layers, if you would, of what was, and now to hopefully be revived, renewed, and regenerated. So that's why many of us are in transition. It is possible to go through a transition and go from one state where it's more positive to negative. That is true. But we want to focus in on hopefully coming from a negative state, if you would, to a more positive state. Yeah, I see ourselves shedding in this time in September, being able to move from where we have been, a lot of us have been experiencing vacation mode, relaxation mode, to now picking back up as we prepare for harvest time. This is a wonderful time as we go into transition for the different things that you have sowed into the ground, if I may use that analogy, the different things that you have put out there. And now it's time for you to reap from that. And that is a time of transition. Something else, Bishop, that also we talked about just a little bit, and I want to recap that and then hand it back over to you. How do you know that you're going through a transition? Because some people tell me, well, Shepard, I don't know if I'm going through a transition. Or what does that feel like? And you must remember that everybody's transition is different. So what and how I handle it and how I feel may be different than you. But remember that we all go through it. But these are just some of the ways to know if you're going through a transition. You feel uncomfortable and restless in your current state or season, if you would. Uh, your passions may start to shift. And I've seen that happen even within my own life, even as I've gotten older, even as I've been a resident in Maryland now for the last 14 years. How I came in is not how I am right now. And I get scared when people keep telling me, man, I'm just the same way I was 14, 15 years ago. Okay, that's cool. But I hope that you look different. I hope that you think different. I hope that you even act a little bit different, because that means that you're evolving. It means that you're transitioning. But remember, it doesn't feel good. It is an uncomfortable position to be in as you're stretching. Also, you'll know that you're going through when God persistently turns your attention to a new season. So wherever you turn, you keep hearing about it. Even on this show, I know you probably driving like, man, I was trying to hear something different. And here they come once again, talking about transitions. And, this keeps coming up. And then here's another way, actually, two more ways, Bishop. Doors keep closing in your current season because God's preparing you for a transition to a next season. I know that to be true because there were some doors I was like, yes, get me up out of Maryland. I love Maryland. I'm a Midwest boy, so please don't come for me. But I thought I was going back to Chicago. But every door I tried to go back there. It wouldn't allow for me to walk through. And so I knew that I was going through a transition, and now I see why I had to stay put. And the last one is that you may experience some pain before that major transition. Then it goes a little bit back to the first thing I said regarding uncomfort or discomfort, pain and discomfort. Yeah, normally when you go through a transition, you're going to feel some pain. And I know, Bishop, this is your definition. I love it. Pain is that gap between expectation
Yes, indeed.
and experience. Man, I tell you, I love taking that wherever I go because that just always resonates with me and those who I'm speaking to. So, Bishop, those are just some of the things that we talked about. Just some ways in which we know we're going through a transition.
Yes, yes, Dr. Shepard. And you just touched on so many powerful things. One of them is being, again, transitions that even when they're progressive, even when they're headed somewhere that is advantageous to us, can still send us through some changes that may not feel good to us in the process, that may push us out of our comfort zone. And so just because we're being pushed out of our comfort zone does not mean that the change is not headed someplace better. And as you said, that was so powerful. And I was reminded of Paul, who said in First Corinthians, he said, a wide and effective door to be
Mm,
effective in the work of ministry has
yes.
been open to me, and there are many adversaries.
Adversary. Wow.
Oh my goodness, there's opportunity and adversity in the same direction, but it's taking me somewhere where there's a wide and effective door. God is enlarging my territory and enlarging your opportunities to move forward in purpose and destiny. But there's a letting go of what we used to have as familiar, and there's a coming into a new form of adversity. But in the midst of it, there's opportunity and growth. And so much, it seems to me, Dr. Shepard, that so much of our success depends on our perspective
Wow.
and which one we tend to focus on. If I'm going to focus on the adversity,
Yeah.
I may stay in my comfort zone.
Right.
But if I focus on the opportunity,
Ooh,
that's not to be in denial of the adversity. I know the adversity is there. That's
wow.
what Paul just said. He said, yeah, there's adversity, but there's also, look at the wide door. Look at the doors that God is opening. Look at what I'm coming into.
Hmm.
And if I focus on that, even as I address and cope with the adversities and overcome the adversities, but the way I overcome is by focusing on this opportunity that has been presented to me. So I have to become a good steward of the opportunity and not let the adversity so trigger my anxieties that I am debilitated
Wow.
from moving forward. Yeah, that's just because it's the right direction, but it's got some situations I got to deal with.
Man,
That's,
Bishop.
that tension right there is real.
I normally don't come on here saying stuff like this, but I've been working on a sermon topic, if you would, the price of transition.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, and you and you just really touched on it. The price of transition, because when you look at it, it's three things that have to happen. You have to change your company,
mm-hmm.
change your defaults, and change your address.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those things, those are 3 points. So I'll stop right there. But I tell you, Bishop, uh,
And that's good. You got preachers listening.
yeah, my my pastor is even on, and we do salute you, Pastor Karen Bethia. She did.
Oh yes, yes.
Yes, she is. She did send a quick message, and we have Marilyn Hinton Brown, and thank you for listening, and Janet Rogers and Sandra McCrae. Come on, please let us know that you're listening, and we'll definitely shout your name out over the airways. But I tell you, Bishop, you were just saying something because, and I'll just again use myself personally with the job opportunity that was presented to me over the last year. I had to recognize that it was time for a transition in my professional life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I easily could have stayed where I was. I was satisfied. I was happy. But there was room for me to grow, and I felt it. And I didn't understand why I could not feel the same peace that I was feeling the 11 other years that I was there. It just would not allow for me to be at peace when I would go into work. No, no drama. It's just I wasn't at peace. And I realized that I could have continued to, shun it away and, and quiet it down. But I knew that there was more. And let me tell you, Bishop, you said something that is so key because when it came time to apply for the job, they reached out to me. I didn't think I was worth it.
Hmm.
I didn't think I had the skills. And some of you all know exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't think that I had even the intellect to be able to handle that particular job. And I had to wrestle with that headspace. And so, what you were saying, Bishop, is so true is that you have to be in the right mindset when you're going through a transition because the transition will come. But if you're not in the right mindset, you'll end up going down the wrong path. Even when the transition comes, and it's supposed to come, you end up making the wrong decision in the midst of the transition. And I really had to pray myself through. And that's why I'm thankful, for people who surrounded me, who prayed with me. And thank you, Pastor Karen, and those in my circle who prayed through that. Yes, Shepherd, you are good enough. Yes, you are trained enough. You are able to handle the tasks that have been presented to you in this new professional role. And it's not just profession. And I'll hand it over to you again, Bishop. You have to know that when you're going through transition, it may seem like it's just for one sphere or one area of your life.
Hmm.
But let me tell you, it really does infiltrate into everything that you do.
Yeah.
Uh, I could not imagine just the influence that being able to sit in a seat where I sit now, how it has impacted every area of my life and allow for me to be able to accomplish some things that I would not have been able to accomplish or even have the capacity to accomplish if I had stayed back and allowed my doubts, to allow my fears, to allow my insecurities to keep me from making this crucial transition. I don't want anybody out there to miss the season transition. This series is for you out there because even in this time of gross darkness, even in this time of violence and insecurity, and where we don't know what's going to happen next, I'll say like that, we have to know that God is with us and that if you are hearing God and know that He has told you what to do, that He will have you, He will give you the faith, He will give you the assurance to make that transition.
Oh my goodness! And thank you for sharing, Dr. Shepard. First of all, your own experience. That's really a testimony for somebody that's listening today. And I want to. I just feel led to add. Say with that. That's why it's so important that these discussions continue.
Yes, sir.
And some of us who are listening today, this is a constant work in us because there's something within us that gets, transitions bring uncertainty, and uncertainty triggers anxieties. And then if we have unresolved traumatic past issues, we get even more, elevated anxiety and fear of repeating the same patterns or
Mm.
fear of failure. And it can really, really debilitate us. You touched on something. I read a life changing book years ago called Why People Get Stuck. And
Mm.
it was the science of people who kind of just end up frozen. And one of the reasons for getting stuck is really internal, not external conditions, but this internal voice. It says we're really not good enough, or
Wow.
we really aren't qualified for better, and that kind of thing. And those kind of voices, if you will, that internal dialogue, that self-talk, can be from an anxious place. So this conversation is really just touching the surface. It's just, to use a Freudian term, the tip of the iceberg. You may need to continue it a little bit in dialogue and discussion with direct care services, with pastoral care, pastoral counseling. But I just pray that the question of the four leprous men. You know, I love that scripture. It's been on my mind at the gate of Samaria that said, "Why sit we here and die?" It's a season of transition. Even in fact, there's a prophetic word spoken over that place and said, by this time tomorrow, things are going to transition favorably.
Wow.
They're going to shift in your favor. You just got to get through these next couple hours, this season of famine. Oh my goodness. And if you can get through this season of famine and the moves that you make in this season will set up the next season that's already been prophesied. Because by this time tomorrow, the transition in your favor is going to manifest. Tomorrow may not be literal, it may be metaphorical for somebody. It may mean finishing out this season, finishing out this semester at school,
Yes.
finishing out that 2 weeks notice you've turned in when it gets rough before you transition. He says, but things, the prophetic word in that text of 2 Kings 7 is that things are transitioning favorably. And what you don't want to do is sit here and die.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. So that's just so important. I hope that helps somebody. I know I may be talking to myself because all of us are going through different transitions, but you're welcome to chime in the chat line or call us at 443-380-2803. But I'll end with this, Dr. Shepard, because back to you. But that's why it's so important that we look at transitions through the lens of faith. And this is to go academic for a minute. Albert Einstein said, or is credited with saying, the most important question we will ever ask ourselves is whether we believe the universe is friendly or hostile towards us, or whether we believe that things are working in our favor or working for our fatality. He says, it depends. He said, that's the most important question. And the answer for us has to be that things are working, that the universe, and we know that that is the favor of God. So we know that things are working in our favor. How do you know? Because we're moving in this transition according to Romans 8. For this we know, that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord. There is a knowledge that comes by faith. I can't stay there and talk about epistemology, but epistemology is the study of knowledge. And I know we're used to knowledge that comes by scientific methodology, but there's also many other avenues of epistemic experience. And so there is a knowledge that comes by faith. Wow. There is a certainty that God settles in the spirit in the city of our sanctified souls, as Pastor Shirley Caesar used to say. So in the city of our sanctified souls, in spite of everything, I believe that this transition is ultimately going to work out for my favor.
Wow. I hope that you're not sitting there like the four lepers and asking yourself, will we sit here and die? After hearing just Bishop Robinson, hopefully that motivated you to get on up. And thank you, Charlotte Poole, for joining us. She's a dear member at the church where I attend, Set the Captives Free. And Dr. Terrence Hayes, thank you, sir. We are back on the air. He was glad to see us back.
Wonderful.
Yes. So, Bishop, I am just so motivated by what you said, because as I look at this time of transition, I realize that it's a time of self-discovery too. Because when those lepers sat there, they had to really do some work on themselves, introspection, if you will. They had to look and decide what they were going to do. And, for some of us, that can be scary.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at yourself, you say, I don't know if I have what it takes to get up and to move forward. See, the interesting thing about them, they had nothing to lose, so to speak.
Yeah.
If we get up, they say we're gonna die. The enemy might kill us, and we sit here and we're going to, and that's how some of you all are right now. I get it, but some of you are, you're looking at yourself and you say, I don't want to look at myself, Dr. Shepard, because I don't like myself. And again, that's a whole nother lane in itself. But it really does lend to this time of self-discovery, and which I had to do as I was in transition, because it looked at my level of discipline, my time management, my planning, and my productivity. So when you talk about time of transition for self-discovery, you have to consider those four areas the level of discipline that and we did a whole series on that. You know, discipline for some people is a dirty word. Time management, because as you go through the transition, you have to understand that what you were doing before you can't do now. And that was really, if I go back to that real quickly about the caterpillar that was in the cocoon, how it could literally remain in there for days or even years, depending upon the environment in which it was set in. And so that time management is huge. Planning and then productivity. And I'm going to leave that alone, but that's just something that we need to think about. We like transitions sometimes because we want to get out of where we are, but those things have to be taken into account when you're going through transition. Discipline, time management, planning, and productivity.
Wow, wow. Transitioning, planning, productivity. My goodness. And it's so important that we see that under the umbrella and through the lens of faith, not denial. Again, Paul said, a wide door has been opened. There
Wow.
is opportunity and there is adversity. Lord, please don't let the adversity, my fears about the adversity, cause me to miss the opportunity.
Mm.
That's the and we've been tagging that back and forth with the lepers and said, why sit we here and die? That desperation. Sometimes God will allow our circumstances to get us in a desperate place
Yes,
to
sir.
feed our faith.
Yes, sir.
So he said, oh my goodness, that's a faith position. He said, I would rather this end with me transitioning by faith than in stagnation.
Mm.
Oh my goodness, and stagnation and fear. So listen, I know we're out of time, but we pray that this conversation has again opened a door for ongoing conversation. You may need to continue it with a direct care services provider, with your pastor. Go to church tomorrow and say, hey, listen, dialogue happening is triggering something in my spirit, is quickening something. But let the conversation continue so that you continue to move forward in your purpose and destiny. And please, by the Spirit of God, by His grace, we look forward to seeing you next week, next time on Spirit in Mind.
I'm sorry, they had me doing 2 shows at once. That's why I was in and out.
We are known for giving you the best spiritual upliftment that praise has to offer.